So let's continue with equations. Now, so we've done plussing and minusing, we've done multiplication and subdivision, and we've done solve for x with both of these. So the one that I want to do now is brackets. Multiply, brackets, same thing. So now we're doing equations that's got distributive law in it. So let's say we've got this. Okay, I'm going to do the sum in two ways now because I just want to show you how the different things come together. So, and it doesn't matter in which way you do it. If you can identify when you can divide first, then go for it. If you're just like, oh no, that's too confusing, then just always do it the same way. So let me show you. So I said that we can, this is distributive law. We multiply it in. So let's do that first. This is solve for x. We've got an equation, so we're dealing with two sides. Here we multiply this in, and we've got 4x plus 2 equals 4. Now we have an x and numbers, so we're taking that over to the other side, which means we have here 4x. Here we have 4. We move the 2, so it becomes minus. So 4x equals 4 minus 2 is 2. And we want to get rid of this 4, so divide by 4, divide by 4, and we've got x equals, and now we always want to simplify our fractions. You're welcome to do that on a calculator, and we're going to get a half. Right. Now, let me show you another way of doing this. Basically, what I'm going to do now is instead of multiplying in, I'm going to divide that 2 away. Let me show you. Okay, so we only do this if we can recognize that there's only one thing here, and whatever's on this side can divide by this 2. Because remember, brackets means times. The opposite of times by 2 is divide by 2. So I can divide this 2 away here and on the other side. Then we've got left, so this 2 is gone. So we've got 2x plus 1, and on the other side we've got 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Now we've got the 1 here, numbers, and x's. So we take that over to the other side, and we have 2x equals, we have a 2, we minus 1, so we change the sign, so 2x equals 1. Now we want this 2 away, so we divide by 2, and x equals a half. See, it's exactly the same thing, but instead of multiplying it in, I divided it away. Sometimes dividing it away would be easier. Sometimes dividing it away would be more complicated. You're welcome to try it and see what happens. Usually if we've only got one term on the side and it can divide by that number, then it's easier to do this first. But if it's going to confuse you, then always stick with times and n, because the times and n is always going to work. It might sometimes be more complicated, but you're never going to go wrong. Whereas with this one, it might just make it super complicated, and you might accidentally make a mistake. So, your choice. See what you prefer. And I hope me using fractions as answers all the time helps you to get over your irrational fear of fractions. Let's go like this. Okay, so first thing we need to do, get rid of all those brackets. You'll see a lot of the times with these equations, it's like if you don't know what to do, ask yourself, what's bugging me the most? What do I hate about the sum? Brackets. Then get rid of them. How do we get rid of brackets? Distributive law. Distributive law. Okay, so we've got solve for x, we've got an equation, so we work on both sides. So here we multiply that in, so 2 times 3 is 6. We've got x's, plus 2 times 5 is 10. And remember, it's times, not plus. Don't make silly mistakes like that. Show yourself what you're doing. But we also have this plus 1 left over here. Don't forget about that little guy. And then we multiply this in. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times minus 5 is minus 20. Okay, we've got x and numbers and numbers and numbers. So all the numbers are going to go to the other side and all the x's together. So what do we have? What did we move? It was positive on this side, so now it's negative on this side. Equals, what do we have? What did we move? And we moved this one. Right, so 6 minus 4 is 2x. And here we've got minus 20, minus 10, minus 1, which is minus 31. And we want to get rid of the 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So x equals minus 31 over 2, and you can simplify that on your calculator. When we're doing equations and things like that, it's nicer to keep it as fractions rather than as decimals. But you wouldn't be wrong if you put in a decimal either. It's just if the test says, do this without a calculator, and you write in a decimal, then your teacher's obviously going to know that you used a calculator. Right. Let's up the ante a bit, and now do some of these that's got some dividing in as well. Remember, no matter how complicated it gets, just keep following the rules. It's important to learn the rules and follow them so that you don't accidentally get confused. Yeah, let's put a plus 1 there, and let's make this over 4 equals sum of 10. How's that? Right. So, first thing we want to do, look at what you've got. So we've got solve for x, we've got an equation. We need to do both sides here. Okay, we have brackets. We can multiply that out. We have a fraction. These are the things we don't like. We can multiply out these brackets, but what are we going to take to the other side? The thing we're going to move and take away to the other side is this is all one thing that's bound together by divided by 4. So we must first get rid of the 4. So we're going to multiply the 4 on the other side. So let's do that first. Then it's easier to see what's going on and we don't have these pesky fractions anymore. So I'm just going to leave this as it is for now. Equals 10 times 4 is 40. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of these ones. So to get rid of brackets, we do distributive law. So we've got 6x minus 15 plus 1 equals 40. So there we've got an x, that's numbers, that's numbers, that's numbers. And we throw everything over to the other side. So we've got 6x, and here we have the 40. We moved the 15, it was minus, now it's plus, and we moved the 1. So now we have 6x equals 40 plus. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group those ones together. So 15 minus 1 is 14. 14 plus 40 is 54. So now I'm going to divide by the x. Also divide by the 6 to get the x by itself. So this is x equals 54 divided by 6. And you can simplify that on your calculator. Let's see, what's that going to be? I am not a calculator. My brain does not do quick calculations in my head. So let's divide both by 2. So this is 27 over 3. There we go. Right. So remember, get rid of what you don't like first. If you multiplied this in and moved nothing over, and then moved over the 4, that's also fine. Because remember, times and divide is on the same level. And you can simplify before you move. You're welcome to do that if there is things to simplify. All right. Let's see. Let's do one more, slightly more difficult. So I'm going to keep it more or less in the same format. Let's say we have 2x minus 1. Ooh, no, let's not. Yeah, I'm going to make that a square. Haha. Plus 1 equals minus 2x plus 5. And let's give it a fraction. What do you think? Yeah, let's do it. Challenge your brain a bit. But I'm not going to put the fraction over that one. I'm just going to put the fraction here. Okay. What do you want to do first? We can first get rid of all these brackets and not move anything across. Or you can first move this one across and then deal with the brackets. It's completely your choice. What I want to do is I'm first going to get rid of the 3 because I want you to remember that we need to multiply this not just on the other side, but with everything. So here, this is one term, that's one term, that's one term. So we want to get rid of this 3 so that we don't have a fraction. So we're going to multiply by 3, but we need to multiply everything by 3. If we multiply this by 3, it just means this one's gone. So, what do we have left? We've got a 2x minus 1 squared. So here we've got 1 times 3, so plus 3. Here we've got, remember this is already times by all that. So all you need to do is times this by the front one. Because this brackets already means times, and we don't want to go mess with the stuff in the bracket. So here we've got minus 6x plus 5. So if you're multiplying, remember to multiply with all the terms. And if you've got something in front of the bracket, you just multiply with the number in front of the bracket, not inside the bracket as well. Stuff in the bracket is, think of it as sort of protected. You can't just go mess with that without multiplying in first. So now let's look here. We want to get rid of all these brackets, right? So this one is something that a lot of people get wrong and gets confused about. You can't take this 2 and bring it inside the bracket. Think about this. What does x times x mean? What's the answer there? X squared. Now, what does this mean? Bracket times a bracket equals a bracket squared. Remember, we don't have to write this times. We can also just go like that. Is bracket squared. So now we're just going in the opposite direction. They gave me this, and I'm going to go and split it up like this so that I can multiply it in. So the 2 I'm leaving out for now. Not doing anything with it, so it stays there. That becomes 2 brackets. Exactly the same brackets. Plus 3 equals, and this, let's keep it the same. You can keep it the same, you can multiply it in, it doesn't matter when we do it, but I want to just kind of show you step by step. Now, I'm going to multiply the brackets out first. So, this one times by that one. So we're distributing the x to both of them. We're distributing the -1 to both of them. And here we're distributing the -6 to both of them. So we're leaving this 2 because we're not doing anything with it. But the 2 went with brackets because we're going to need to times it in eventually. Now we've got x times x is x squared. X times -1 is -1x. You can write the 1 or not, your choice. So we're done with that one. Now we move to this one. -1 times x is -1x. Minus and minus is plus. 1 times 1 is 1. And we have a +3. And on this side, -6 times x, -6x. Minus and minus is, minus and plus is minus. 5 times 6 is 30. Now we still have brackets. So let's multiply this in. Again, I just want to say here, you can first simplify inside the brackets. You don't need to, it's your choice. So now we've got 2x squared minus 2x, so that one and that one, minus 2x for that one, and then 2 times 1 is 2. We still have that 3, don't forget about that one. And on this side, we didn't change anything right now, so it just stands exactly the same as it is. Okay, let's look for terms. Ooh, I made a mistake when I gave you the sum. Haha, it's okay, don't worry about it. Okay, now we've got that. We've got x's. We've got numbers and numbers and numbers. So now this one doesn't go with anything, so we leave it alone. We bring all the x's over to the side. So we've got -2 is -4. That's what we have. What did we move? We move this one over and the minus becomes a plus. Okay, this side, what do we have? What do we move? So we can also say this is 2 plus 3 is 5. If we take it over, then it's minus 5. So here we have 2x plus 2, squared, plus 2x equals minus 30 minus 5 is minus 35. Okay, now I said I made a mistake when I gave you the sum. Yes, I did. This was supposed to be a squared because I wanted this one to cancel out. But because this one is squared, it's going to be here, quadratic equation, which means we're going to factorize and get 2 answers. So I'm not going to do that now because I want to do that in a different video. Alright, so we can just leave it like this for now because we've done everything we can for this video. In your test and exam you're going to need to go further because then you would have covered this already. Alright, I just wanted to recap quickly because there was a couple of important things here. First of all, we got rid of this fraction and we said remember to multiply it with all the terms, not just once on the other side. The other important thing is we had this. If we've got a bracket squared, we break it up into 2 brackets. So bracket squared becomes that same bracket times that same bracket. And then we had multiplying out the bracket, so it becomes one big long bracket with 4 terms. Remember I said if you times 4 things together, you're going to get 4 answers. And only then did we times in the number that stands in front of it. Okay, so that was the important things we had here. We'll do the factorizing a bit later. Right. I'm going to do one more very similar one, but slightly less complicated, just to give you to practice once more. Go over it again in case there's some of you that's confused. Right, let's go like this. Right, so first things first, we want to get rid, there's no fractions. Let me add in a fraction, man. Got to practice it as many times as we can. No, you know what, I'm going to put the fraction somewhere else, because you don't necessarily always see the fraction on the first term. Fraction can be here as well. So, what have we got now? We've got brackets that we don't like, and we've got a fraction that we don't like. It doesn't matter on which side the fraction is or by which term the fraction is. Let's look at our terms. We've got that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. So we've got 4 terms here. Remember I said make notes, first check your terms. So we've got 4 terms. We want to get rid of this 2, it's bugging us. So we're going to multiply it away. It is divide by 2 here, so we do the opposite, which is times 2, times 2, times 2. Okay, if we times 2 here, then this one's gone. So let's write that down. Let me just go like that. So, here we have to say So remember here, when we're multiplying these with the brackets, we only multiply it with the first number because we don't want to mess with stuff inside brackets. So here we've got 2 times 3 is 6. And I'm not changing anything with that bracket at the moment. Here we've got minus 4 times 2 is minus 8. And I'm leaving the bracket alone. Here we multiplied by 2, which cancelled out the divide by 2. So we have 3x. Minus 1 times 2 is minus 2. Okay, fraction gone. Now, let's look at our brackets. We want to get rid of brackets. So this one is annoying us, and this one is annoying us. So if we've got a bracket squared, we need to make 2 brackets. Right. So we have the 6 days. We're making 2 brackets. And now we've got the minus 8 equals, and that stays the same as it is. We're not doing anything there now. Now we multiply the x with both, the 3 with both. And here the minus 8 goes into that bracket. So we leave the 6 alone. We didn't do anything to the 6. So x times x is x squared. X times plus 3 is plus 3x. Done with this one. 3 plus 3 times x is plus 3x. Positive or positive, plus and plus is plus. 3 and times 3 is 9. Okay, here we've got minus 8 times x is minus 8x. Minus and plus is minus. 8 times 2 is 16. On the other side, we did nothing. Stays exactly the same. But now we still have a bracket. So let's deal with this one. So you have to take the 6 into everything in this bracket. So we have 6x squared plus 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 9 is 30. And this one stays the same. And this one stays the same. And those two also stay the same. Alright, now let's look at all our terms. There we've got a squared. There we've got an x, an x, an x, and an x. And number, number, number. So we take all the x's to one side, all the numbers to the other side. And this one we want to bring over here. So we've got 6x squared. And you know what? Actually, let me just tell you straight off instead of going, ooh, but did you notice? Okay. So when we get here now, we can see that here's a squared. There's an x squared. What does that mean? That means quadratic. It's going to be a quadratic because it has exponents, which means we have to get equal 0 and factorize and get 2 answers for x. But we haven't done this yet. We haven't practiced it yet, so we're not going to do it now. Okay, so remember, so pretty much whenever we've got a squared here, we're probably going to end up with a square here. Unless there's something that cancels it out and it becomes 6x squared minus 6x squared. But I want you to get used to this. If you've got a squared it's going to be quadratic. And we don't want to do quadratic right now, but what you are going to do is we want equals 0 when you've got a quadratic. Then everything's going to move over to this side. So I just want to show you what it would look like. So we'll have plus 18x plus 18x minus 8x minus 3. Got no space left here, so just excuse this. Then minus the plus 30, and this one is going to come over the side as well. We've got 16 plus 2 equals 0. So whenever we've got a square, we want equals 0. Okay, but the important thing I wanted to show you and to practice, you've got a fraction that you want to get rid of. You don't just times by the one term, you times by every single term that you have. When we've got brackets, we don't want to mess with the stuff in the bracket. It stays the same. We only multiply by the number outside the bracket. When we've got a bracket squared, it becomes 2 brackets that you multiply in. And if there's a number at the front, we multiply that in at the end. And then we see, what have we got? Have we got linear or have we got quadratic? If we've got linear, x is on the one side, numbers on the other side. If we've got quadratic, we want equals 0. Okay, I wanted to plant some of those seeds so long because that's what we're going to do in the next video. Next video, we're going to talk about factorizing, and then we'll get to the quadratic equations. I hope that helped. Let me know if you get confused and do some exercises. And yeah, let's see you later.